When avid fishermen think of Lake Michigan's monster fish, they're likely imagining chinook salmon, steelhead, lake trout, brown trout, or perhaps coho salmon. Very few anglers realize that Lake Michigan is also home to some of the biggest yellow perch you'll find in North America. In this week's episode of Fishing 411 TV, Mark Romanack enlists the help of avid perch fisherman Mark Kubal. Mark is an Illinois-based science teacher and avid fisherman who spends a lot of time mining yellow gold from the waters of Lake Michigan. You simply won't believe the jumbo perch Mark and Mark double team out of old Michigami.
What you got there, Mark?
I think it's a perchy.
Oh. Oh, I see him. Nice perch. Look at that. So that's what they look like, huh?
There's a jumbo.
That's a jumbo. Very nice, Mark.
Thank you.
Very nice perch.
There you go.
Look at that. Now all we got to do is just repeat that, what, 14 more times?
14 more times.
All right, well, I'm all about that. So let's see if we can't catch a few of those yellow bellies. Ooh, I can feel a little perch wiggling on there.
You got one, Marcus?
I do. I don't think it's going to be a giant, but it's a perch. Definitely a perch. Oh, it's good solid fish.
Oh, that's a good fish.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that one at all. And they're all washed out. They're all washed out because of the how deep of water they're in here. But that one will eat. No question about it, that one will eat. Look at that, Mark. I don't know if I've ever seen you move that fast before.
Hey, that's me moving pretty fast.
The last time you moved that fast, you're going after a trolling rod with a coho on it.
Right. Yeah, so we're out here catching some perch today.
That's a good one right there. That's a double
We got
header.
a double decker. Oh, of course.
Look at that scoop. There's a landing net right there on the floor. So. That's the nice thing about the swim bladder coming off.
About 10 inches. Not a bad fish. You got a little bit of the googly eye here. Swim bladder coming out.
Probably gonna regret this. Oh my goodness. That's a slob right
Mark.
there. That's what
Good
we're talking
man.
about. You can see the eyes bugging out. These are fish that are coming up out of pretty deep water. We're in about 60 feet of water. So the bottom line is that this is not going to be a catch and release day. We're not going to sort fish. The ones we catch, we're going to keep, and hopefully we'll get some more big ones like this. But even if we have to keep some smaller ones, we will.
Fishing 411 TV is brought to you in part by the Ultimate Sports Show Tour. Fishing 411 TV is brought to you in part by Fishhawk Electronics. Going fishing without a fishhawk is called boating.
It looks like a yellow perch here on a dropper rig. I don't think it's very big. It's pretty small, but they're just showing up where we were fishing last week. So this guy's not very big. We'll put him in the live well. Sometimes dropping these little guys in the live well after a while, their air bladder will resettle back inside, and sometimes you can let these little guys go. Other than that, it's good practice to keep them so you're not hurting the resource.
Well, as you can see, we're perch fishing. We're on Lake Michigan today, and we do not have these perch to ourselves. That's the kind of a cool thing about perch fishing is perch fishermen in general are gregarious. Wherever you find one, you're likely going to find a bunch more. And it's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And the reason it's a good thing is because the more bait you keep in the water here, the more the perch are going to stay in this general area. If you've got them all by yourself and you've landed a couple fish and there's no bait in the water, the perch could drift off and you lose them, and then you got to go back and refine them again. So honestly, having a few extra boats around is working in our favor today, and we're catching some beautiful yellow belly jumbo perch. Whew. 38-degree water. He's cold. He is cold.
So yeah, we've been fishing here for about, I'd say 20 minutes or so, maybe 25 minutes, and we have maybe 8 or 9 perch in the box already, but it's still a little bit of slow. And you look at your depth finder, you're going to see a red thin line. That's the difference in contrast with the bottom contour color. When you see that, that's a sign that there's perch in the area, and that's what you want to look at. Any difference in the bottom structure, a little bump with a little red on it, that's kind of what we found here after searching for quite a while. We dropped here and we've caught a few fish already, but after a while, what's good practice is to start putting your bow mount down in the water and start maneuvering around some of these boats, maybe making a grid line or a bigger pattern. Eventually you're going to find not just more perch, you'll more than likely find a school of perch that are bigger in size too. It's been the common practice out here.
There we go. It's kind of funny because I look around, the boat in front of us just caught one, the boat behind us just caught one, now we're in the middle of here and we're catching them. Perch fishing's fun, man. It is fun. Oh. I'd like to see if I can get a couple more of those big jumbos. These are going to eat just fine though. I think one of the things you can do to try to keep perch below the boat and actively biting is you can make sure that that sinker is ticking the bottom, coming off, ticking the bottom, coming off. And what that's doing is create a little noise that they can hear. It creates that little puff of sediment from the bottom that they can see. And so when perch are naturally feeding in an area, they tip up, they go down, and they nuzzle into the bottom to look for food. And in doing that, they kick up these clouds of silt. So if your sinker is doing that, it makes a very, very good situation. Other perch in the vicinity think that perch are there feeding, and so it brings them in, draws them in. So we know we're using minnows for bait, so most people would say that that's all the scent that you need, but actually adding a scent product like Procure on top of your live bait, your live minnows, is an advantage, because a lot of times what will happen is a perch will bite, he'll tear the minnow free, so you've lost your bait, but they're still in the vicinity. If you've got a little bit of scent on your hook on these perch pounders, what will end up happening is they'll come back and oftentimes just bite the perch pounder, just bite the tinsel that's on there. And so scent keeps these fish more fired up, keeps them more active. So Procure makes a lot of different scent products, but goby would be a really good one here because they're feeding on gobies. The other one that I'm using today is called Trophy Perch. It's actually a mixture of different scents, but it works very, very well. So believe it or not, adding a little bit of scent is going to put a lot more fish in the boat for you than just fishing clean minnows.
I'm using crappie rigs on here on multiple rods, and it just paid off, as you can see here. The timing couldn't get any better. This feels like a pretty decent perch here. I'm using a 1-ounce dropper, and we use multiple rods because perch are schooling fish. They're also pelagic. They like to wander around, but They're definitely a schooling fish. This guy's a little bit better. But you can see we have 2 minnow droppers on our perch rigs here. And I use a little bit of bait scent too. So as much bait as you can keep in the water and keeping scent down there keeps these fish interested. Like this little guy here. But we'll definitely use 2 rods to keep these fish busy. It's always good to keep one down in the water if you can, to keep those minnows down there, to keep these fish around.
Oh yeah, there he is.
There you go, Mark.
These softer rods really do make a big difference. And the fish can't feel you, but you can feel the fish. And that's really what it's all about. These ultralight panfish rods work very, very well on these yellow perch. So that's not a big perch, but I could easily feel him biting. But I don't think he could feel me, and that's the key.
Fishing 411 TV is brought to you in part by Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Fishing 411 TV is brought to you in part by Big Bite Baits and Steel Shad Premier Fishing Lures. Smokercraft Incorporated and Suzuki Outboards presents the 411 on Fishing.
You know, when you're fishing, it's easy to start thinking about what I would call the big things, like what lure to use, what color lure, that type of stuff. But oftentimes, it's the little things you don't think of that make a big difference in your success. And in my hand is a little thing. This is just a little tiny snap made by Eagle Claw. This is what we're using to attach our crankbaits to our monofilament fishing line. And why is it such a big deal? Well, as you can see, they're kind of wide and they got a nice big round end on them. And it gives your lures a tremendous freedom to wiggle. You get more action out of a lure with this style of snap than you would with a traditional snap. They're also strong enough to hold up. Now we're talking about these steelhead. You've seen what they've done to our hooks. Imagine what they do to your snaps if you didn't have high quality snaps. So Eagle Claw, great company. They make some of these new snaps that I think are perfect for crankbait trolling. Check them out at your local tackle shop.
There's one here. So we got another fish coming here. It feels like one of those 9-10 inchers again. Seems like he might be a little bit bigger. He's got that 9-10 inch pull on him. Yeah. It's a chunky little monkey. Yeah, this fish here is definitely a lot smaller than our average size this time of year. The good thing is I'm seeing smaller fish, which means there's reproduction going on, which is a good thing. So you'll see different year classes of fish. I think the 5, 6, 7-year-old perch are in that 15-inch range, but they grow pretty quick down here. It's pretty fertile.
Let's talk a little bit about perch rigs. Traditional factory-made perch rigs, there's a million of them out there. But from my perspective, most of them are tied on line that is pretty heavy for perch fishing. And I get it, they want to be durable. You buy them once and you can use them for years and years and years. But in super clear water like we're dealing with here on Lake Michigan, that thick line is very visible to the fish. Not the ideal perch rig. So I started tying my own many years ago using fluorocarbon line, my own hooks and tying my own little flies and attractors on the hooks, that kind of stuff. And then I discovered this company called Perch Pounder, and they're doing it already for you. Nice thin fluorocarbon leaders, nice fly droppers, premium quality hooks. You can't go out and build a better perch rig than the Perch Pounder, so I just came to the conclusion it wasn't even necessary anymore to tie my own. I would just use the Perch Pounders. They come in different colors and they come in different hook sizes, so if you're fishing minnows you might want a bigger hook. If you're fishing wigglers you might want a smaller hook. They got something for every perch fishing situation. Perch Pounder, if you haven't checked them out, trust me, it is definitely the best perch rig you're ever going to put in the water. Oh, we got a decent one going here, Mark. Man, this is so much fun. I love perch fishing. I wish this was a little closer to my home. I'd probably get no work done. I'd be out here 24/7 perch fishing.
Yeah.
Man, these are beautiful fish. Look at that guy. Come to Papa. Oh, yes.
Another keeper.
I'll show him off. he's also got a mouth full of minnows. So this perch ate a minnow and then ate my rig. So they're like all other perch, they're gluttons. You put something good to eat in front of them, they're going to eat it. It's kind of like you just leave the restaurant and you just ate a big steak and baked potato, and you see the after dinner minute, you couldn't help yourself. You had to eat that mint too. It was the undoing of this guy.
Traditionally, the perch bite on Lake Michigan starts right around the second, third week of Thanksgiving. But this Thanksgiving was relatively warm. The water temperature stayed in the mid 50 degree range for the whole month of November. And then right around Thanksgiving, the day before, day after has been pretty much my time when I start fishing for them. You want to look for water temps in the 50 degree range. 48 to 50 degree range is really your ideal temperature range. I was out about 10 days ago. The water temperature was 51. I found some nice fish that day. But here we are 10 days later and we're looking at 38 degree water temps too. But it's a beautiful day out here. So to start fishing for these perch, you want the water in that 50 degree range or a little bit colder. That's when the bite starts. And this bite will last until all winter, actually through April. As soon as that first full moon in April comes, these fish kind of scatter from this area and start finding spawning habitat. But this guy, it's either a double or a real nice one.
Well, I'm going to get landing in out, Mark, because I'd hate to see you lose a real good one. And,
I don't know.
Oh, that's just a really good one.
That's a pretty good fish.
That's a real good one right there. All right. You've caught some beautiful perch today, my friend. Look at that one. That is definitely the best of the morning so far.
So it's a little bit more of that standard issue, 12 and a half inch range. But we're starting to catch fish relatively consistently here. Again, I think that scent is definitely, that Mark cued on a little earlier, that bait scent will definitely keep these fish below the boat here today.
Fishing 411 TV is brought to you in part by Cisco Fishing Systems, your fishing equipment experts. Fishing 411 TV is brought to you in part by ProCure, ruthlessly effective bait scents.
This is a good fish here too. So we got another fish on here. This is a pretty decent sized fish here. I think we've landed right in the right spot here today. After a long, I don't know if we're going to be able to get, I can swing him in, I'm sure.
You think?
Yeah.
I was going to say,
I got two of them
you're kind
on.
of standing in the landing net, so.
You ready? 2, 3.
Perfect, Mark,
The old
perfect.
swing job. So
Ain't no fair, you're catching them two at a time.
We call this the double decker. And we got a couple of fish on here. Bottom fish is definitely what we're looking at for. So we have two different year classes here. I'm thinking this fish here, he might be in that 3 to 4 year average. This guy's maybe a couple of years old, but the forage base out here is really rich, so it won't be too long until he'll be about this size, but he's not going anywhere. He's coming with us.
Maybe I better catch this fish. And while I'm catching him, if I can give anybody at home a tip about how to be successful at perch, it's just being tenacious. Do not give up. We looked for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before we found these fish. Didn't catch a single fish in that time frame. And then when you sit down on them, you're going to catch perch. So tenacity is important. You want to stay out here and keep looking and trust your sonar until you find them, and then sit down on them and catch a bunch.
So I got another one going here. This is a good fish here. He's dogging me pretty good, so it's that scent, Mark.
Definitely seems to be
It's
helping.
definitely that scent. So Mark and I are playing around with some scent here today, and it's definitely bringing these.
Oh, that's a double header.
Ready? 2, 3.
Beautiful. They can fall off in the boat if they want to.
I'll grab that other one down there, but this is a couple of, these fish are probably in the 11 and a half inch range, but there's two of them. And when they come up in pairs, it's always a good thing.
Oh, I bet you. We're going to do a little D-lyer test here, because I think those might be a little bit bigger than you think they are. You know what, Mark? Next time you catch another one of those big ones, we're going to put it on a tape measure so people at home can see exactly how big they actually are. I just taped one of your fish. It was 14 inches.
14 inches.
You've been calling them 12. You're a very conservative man out there. Some of those are 14.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I have been called conservative before.
There
So.
you go. That's a good thing, my friend.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 rods is more than a guy can handle, but it is nice to keep bait down there. And just stay all calm. And I think you're going to be able to get both of your fish if you do that. And this is a better fish for me here. Either that or a double header, we'll see. No, it's just a better one. Come on in here, baby. Mark, I cannot thank you enough for let's come on here and catch some of your pet perch. Boy, this guy's like a lockjaw. You don't want to open a blast up. There he goes. Now I can get my finger in there. Still not as big as some of the Mark's catching, but definitely a quality perch. There's not too many people anywhere that wouldn't put that one on the dinner table.
Absolutely. There's a good fish on there too.
This is all over the place.
Definitely a keeper. We got a triple Lindy going here, don't we? This is definitely a good fish here. It's either a double or one of those 14, 15 inchers. It's definitely dogging me. It's a double decker, but we got a good, relatively.
Two good double.
Oh! Net.
It's right behind you. Oh, it's right behind you.
Don't want him to get away, do we?
Nope.
Good Lord.
Mark, I can't thank you enough for sharing some of these perch with us here on Lake Michigan. My name is Mark Romanack. You've been watching Fishing 411. Thanks for Mark Kubal. This is sharing his pet perch. We'll hope to see you same time, same place next week.
Closed captioning is provided courtesy of Precision Trolling Data, the Troller's Bible. Fishing 411 TV comes to you courtesy of Offshore Tackle, Yakima Bait Company, Suzuki Marine, Jay's Sporting Goods, Smooth Move Seats, Garmin Marine, Bill Lewis Lures, Starcraft Marine, Niagara Falls USA, and Eagle Claw.
It's kind of funny because I look around, the boat in front of us just caught one, the boat behind us just caught one, now we're in the middle of here and we're catching them. Perch fishing's fun, man. It is fun. Oh. I'd like to see if I can get a couple more of those big jumbos. These are going to eat just fine, though.